Welcome to another Okie Dokie Tech video, this time featuring software support for the extra features that make this Orange Pi 5 to be a plus model, namely the HDMI-IN port, shown right here, a USB-C display port over here, the onboard microphone, the infrared receiver, twin 2.5 gigabit Ethernet jacks, and a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. The official Ubuntu 22.05 Gnome image with the Linux 5.10 kernel that I installed at first has excellent YouTube video playback and supports HDMI-in, but the onboard microphone, although it was detectable and usable in Audacity, had such extremely low volume it might as well not have worked. So I decided to use this image for this video. It's the official Orange Pi Ubuntu 22.04 X-Phase 4 image, also sporting the 5.10 Rockchip kernel. And this image seems to support the hardware on the Orange Pi the best. I was especially interested in the HDMI-in or video capture port. Video capture is not enabled by default, so let's go to Settings and then go to Orange Pi Config. It'll ask for my password. And we will go to System Settings, arrow down to Hardware, and you will go down to HDMI-RX. That is your video capture. They don't call it HDMI-in, but HDMI-RX. And as you can see, I've already previously enabled it, so I don't need to do that again. So we're just going to back out of here. But you cannot use the video capture port until you do that. Now the burning question is, will OBS Studio work with the HDMI-in port? At first I had trouble installing it because of a dependency, and the dependency required the Linux kernel headers. You can't find them in the repo, but if you go to Orange Pi's webpage and you look under Official Tools, that's where you will find the Linux header files. It's a deb package. Just download it and install it. And after that, I did get OBS Studio to work. And this is what it looks like. When I try to add the video capture device, it does see the RK HDMI RX port. We click OK, but I never got any kind of a picture here, so even though it looks like it works, it doesn't. The answer to the question is no. OBS Studio at this point does not work. Now I would like to test the HDMI-in port, also known as a video capture port, on the Orange Pi 5. I'll be capturing video from my IndyDroid Nova SBC. The HDMI-in port should be able to capture both audio and video, but for some reason the audio part does not work. So as a workaround, I have a 3.5 millimeter audio cable between the audio ports on the Orange Pi 5 and the IndyDroid Nova. Now I'm going to go ahead and start up this program here that is called V4L2 Test Bench. And I'm going to set the audio in and the audio out both for the ES8388 port. That will tell it to use the 3.5 millimeter jacks. And we'll go ahead and start it up. And this is what is already open on the IndyDroid Nova. I'll go ahead and start it, and then I'm going to use this program, which is called Simple Screen Recorder, and it's set to use HDMI-IN audio. I think the problem with the HDMI-IN audio is only one program at a time can use it. That's why it doesn't work if I have it on both programs. Now we're going to go forward and we're going to start recording. And we'll give it a minute or two. I don't want to see him land on that. Now let's pull up the recorder and pause the recording, and we're going to save it. And then this is the folder it saved it to, and I just did another test before this. This is the test we just now did, but this one will have sound and video. Now we're going to open up a sound recorder called Audacity, and we are going to set the inputs for the microphone and for the speakers, and we are going to enable the monitoring of the audio, and you'll notice a very weak audio stream. I've not been able to increase the volume of the mic, so the volume is very soft. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. So we see the onboard microphone does work, but the extremely low volume makes it not very useful. A microphone plugged into the 3.5 millimeter jack was even worse. This is recording with a microphone plugged into the microphone jack. Finally, with a USB microphone, we have a good, strong recording. This is recording with the USB microphone. Let's go ahead and test Wi-Fi internet speed. We're going to use speedtest.net. And bear in mind, my internet package only gives me 350 megabit speed to begin with, so it can't go but so high. Also, this test is on the X-Face image. Now we'll go ahead and check Ethernet speed, still on the X-Face image and still using speedtest.net. Ethernet is, as we would expect, quite a bit faster than Wi-Fi. For this test, I've switched to the Gnome image, and we're still using speedtest.net, and this is Wi-Fi measurement. As you can see on the Gnome image, Wi-Fi is significantly faster. Now I've plugged in the Ethernet cable, and this is still on the Gnome image. I don't expect this to be much faster because my internet package limits the speed to about 350 megabits per second. Before trying 8K video playback, let's try some 4K. This is Big Buck Bunny, and the Blender Foundation has generously allowed it to be used in this way. Let's put it to full screen and let's turn on Stats for Nerds and see how it plays. At 4K, it looks like it's dropping about 1 frame in 10. So I don't think 8K playback will do very well. And this is using the Gnome desktop environment with the Ubuntu 22.04 version of Linux. By the way, this is using the HDMI 2 port. Now I'm going to open P-Sensor so that we can keep our eyes on the temperatures while we're using the Orange Pi 5. After the computer warms up, it usually idles at about 41 degrees Celsius. And for reference, the indoor temperature is 71 degrees Fahrenheit or about 22 degrees Celsius. So we're going to leave P-Sensor measuring temps while I do a video playback, and we're going to use a YouTube video of Big Buck Bunny, and I'm going to set it for just 180p first, and we're going to make it full screen. Let's turn on Stats for Nerds, and it has dropped quite a few frames, almost half the frames at 1K. It's watchable, but it's dropping a lot of frames. Let's see what happens if we change to 4K. I don't expect that to be any better. And at 4K, it's dropping nearly as many frames as it's seeing. And as you can see, this is just unwatchable. There's a setting, if you go to Orange Pi config, have to type in the password. We're going to go to System, Hardware. I've already enabled it, but you can turn on HDMI 2-8K. Since I've already enabled it, we're just going to close out of here. I am presuming that that will let me play 8K video on HDMI 2. So let's see if Big Buck Bunny, which is only 4K, plays any better full screen on HDMI 2. Switch it to 4K and let's go full screen. Stats for Nerds. Dropped 462 out of 511. It's still dropping frames like crazy. This is very disappointing. I've also tried USB-C, which does work for video, but it doesn't do any better than HDMI 1 or HDMI 2. We just get lots of dropped frames if you play anything full screen at 1K or better. Just looking at our temperatures here, we've gotten up to 54 degrees, so that didn't do too much to bring the heat up, that is. Testing the video playback got us up to a temperature of 54 degrees. On another trial run, it got up to 55 degrees, but that's a decent temperature. But now we're going to try something that'll give it more of a run for its money. We're going to try Stress NG for 3 minutes. and I will fast forward through this so you don't have to watch the whole 3 minutes. As you can see, running Stress NG got the big core up to a high of 61 degrees Celsius. When I was doing the test on HDMI-IN port for video capture, I got the temp all the way up to 63 degrees Celsius, and that was after hours of use. So this case keeps the Orange Pi 5 Plus cool enough for the most demanding tests that I've put on it. In summary, I have over the last 2 weeks tried 7 different images from Orange Pi's download page. In my opinion, the 2 images that supported the hardware the best were both official Ubuntu 22.04 images with the 5.10.160 Rockchip kernel. One image was with the Gnome desktop and the other image with the Xface 4 desktop. The Xface 4 image very narrowly beat out the Gnome image, just in marginally better support for the onboard microphone. Both images supported 3.5 millimeter earphones very well. I want to repeat that. They did support earphones, even though the audio recording wasn't that great. In fairness to Orange Pi, I'll also say that I used 5 different microphones that I used to use back in the days when computers had amplified sound cards, and that was like 20 plus years ago. And these days, newer motherboards have sound chips. I've ordered a 3.5 millimeter microphone that gets great reviews, so I'm hoping that the poor sound quality of the 3.5 millimeter microphone jack was due to using old equipment that simply doesn't meet the requirements of newer sound chips. I am overall impressed with the performance of this SBC and case, and feel that the hardware support will only get better with time. This computer can easily be used as a daily driver for most people. YouTube playback is okay as long as you don't want to watch full screen, and I expect this also to improve over time as the drivers mature. That will wrap up this video. If you found this information helpful, please like and subscribe. This video took an extraordinary amount of time in the making, about 2 weeks. Sorry about that. I hope to be back to posting new videos about once a week.